In 2022, I snapped chain after chain. Every 2 or 3 weeks, another one would break. Another constant talk of climbing over 1 million meters of elevation in a year. It wasn't only frustrating waiting roadside for the missus to pick me up, it was also getting really expensive. I needed a solution, and a mate put me in touch with Belgian brand Cyclowax. Now, I'd seen videos of guys online in the back shed with bottles of petrol and methylated spirits, explaining how to wax your chain in the missus rice cooker. And I've got to be honest, I didn't see myself doing that. Everything I'd read and heard about waxing felt really messy and complicated. But the Cyclowax system was different. It was the first proper kit. It was simple to use, there was no mess. And so I decided to give it a try. My first ride with a wax chain, the silence, the cleanliness, it's not something I honestly noticed after day one, but after 2, 3, 4, 5 days, it was unlike anything I'd experienced before. There's no build-up of gunk, there's no grime, it's quite literally just silence. It really does work. Now with standard lube, I was reapplying every 2 days. I also had tried the liquid wax, which I wasn't super impressed by, which is perhaps why I was skeptical of the hot wax. But they're completely different beasts. It's like comparing a carbon bike frame with an alloy bike frame that's been painted to look like carbon. They're different. With the hot wax, I could go 400 or 500 kilometers without needing to re-wax. That's an entire week of training for most people, or a really big ultra ride. It's something I'd have called bullshit on had I not tried it myself. So I've been on the Cyclowax system for 2.5 years now, and over that time, they've gathered a bunch of data that shows that over a 250 kilometer ride in fair weather, the Cyclowax wax chain saves around 4 watts. 4 watts less friction, essentially. And if we look at a dirty race or a dirty event or a dirty ride like a Paris-Roubaix, that jumps up to over 8 watts. People spend thousands of dollars on aero bikes, the latest tech, and they even starve themselves in search of those marginal gains. Cyclowax basically makes those gains affordable and practical to everyone. For me though, it was never about the watts, but rather trying to simplify my life and reduce costs. The wax reduces the wear on my chains, chain rings, cassette and derailleurs. My drivetrain lasts way longer. I'm not having to replace parts anywhere near as frequently as I was. And I'm saving money. Not to mention, I feel more confident going into my big events knowing that I'm not going to have an equipment failure. My waxing routine's pretty simple. I'll wax the chain once a week for, say, a 500 kilometer week. Or if it's a bigger week of 800 to 1,000 kilometers, I'll do it twice. The Cyclowax app connects to my Strava, and it reminds me when I need to wax the chain. So there's no guesswork, there's no having to remember how many kilometers you've done since you wax. It really is a foolproof system. So what about when I'm traveling or undertaking an event? I'll use Cyclowax's liquid wax. Now, like I said, it's not as effective as the hot wax, but it keeps my drivetrain clean, keeps it running efficiently, and it doesn't contaminate the system. So when I do get home, I can whack the chain straight back in the wax pot without having to clean the bike. Even in the wet, the wax chain works. If it's been lashing down with rain, you will have to re-wax it when you get home. But if it's just been a little bit damp, a little bit of drizzle or wet roads, just wipe it down with a clean towel and you're good to go again the following day. So why would you choose Cyclowax over the competitors? Everyone seems to be producing wax kits now. The Cyclowax kit heats up in half the time of the competitors, which means it cut down the amount of time it takes to wax a chain. Heats up in 10 minutes, competitors 20 or more. And I guess that's why there's now Pro Tour teams using the Cyclowax system. It's easy, it's simple, it's fast, it works. And as a small brand, I also love that they continue to innovate. They're setting the standard for chain waxing. And it's a standard that other brands, much bigger brands, keep trying to follow. Like I said, in my instance, switching to wax wasn't about saving watts. It was about simplifying life, saving money, saving time, and keeping my bike clean, always. Once you try it, honestly, you'll never go back. Cyclowax have made it really easy. I've got my old man on it, I've got mates onto it, they're stoked. I don't see anyone that's gone to wax going back to lube. Any questions on the Cyclowax system, hit me down below. Likewise, if you've got any general questions on the lapsing, pop them down there too. Cheers, guys.